Accomplishment Coaching is proud to present the following fine programming. Accomplishment Coaching, where coaches lead and leaders coach. AccomplishmentCoaching.com.
Welcome to the Coaching Show with your host, Master Certified Coach Christopher McCullough.
Thank you, Dick Warren. And welcome to the Coaching Show. Today's show is going to be filled with lightness, humor, and depth, just the way you like it. And I'm delighted to welcome back to our in-studio guest co-host. That would be Clarice Connolly. Say hello to the people.
Hey, how's it going? I am Clarice Connolly. I am a women's empowerment coach, and I live in San Diego and work with women across the United States and the world. I work with women who are feeling stressed out about life, who are frustrated with how it's going, who are continually, beating themselves up and just putting themselves last on the list of priorities, and just really pouring back into them as they pour into others. So,
would those women actually hire a coach, or would they just think that was too extravagant?
It seemed to be going, I think when they're given the opportunity to change how it goes, it kind of feels like this, oh my gosh, there's an option for something different that exists.
Got it, a little possibility, actually.
Absolutely.
Okay, so how do people find you?
Where
do we go? What do we do?
We go on the internet, and you can find me at heartandsoul.coach.
Thanks, heartandsoul.coach. I like that. I'm a little bit envious that you got that one. I just went to get me and the coachingshow.coach because I'm copying you. Okay, what do we got to talk about? We have a lot to talk about. Here's the thing. I don't know about you. I think I kind of do, but I don't really know about you. And I have some desire to make my voice heard in this turbulent political climate we find ourselves in these days. So I will shout out to our delightful and beloved sponsors in a moment, but I want to let you know about something that I've been doing. So first of all, I've been going for long walks in the morning. Awesome thing to do, by the way. You should do that. You look skeptical.
I'm so nervous about this conversation.
No, it's good. But here's what
okay.
I do. Here's what I do in the morning. I have a text from some place called 228466. It's called Daily Action. And what you do, 228466, and every day they tell me something I can do in a progressive way to make a difference, right? So you text join to it, and then every day you get a text, right? And it's like contact Paul Ryan about the ACHA, or contact House Judiciary Committee about Jeff Sessions, stuff like that, right? And then again, if you are of a like mind, of a progressive mindset, you can also get this app that I love called 5 Calls. It's a numeral, the numeral 5 Calls. And here's what happens. I go on my walk, and even though I'm out of breath and, crawling on my hands and knees up and down the hills of my neighborhood, I'm making calls, and I'm getting my opinion expressed, and I'm talking to people, in Washington, D.C. and stuff like that. So I highly recommend it. Of course, there are a million things, right? There's a march coming up. There's lots of stuff. But if you're of a progressive mindset, if you're in North America or the United States of America and want to have your progressive voice heard, go check out those places. If you're on the other side of the street, I don't know, go get your own damn resources. But these are the ones that I know of. All right, let's talk about our delightful and blessed and beloved sponsors and partners. We're delighted to be in our can you believe it? 4th year of media partnership with the International Coach Federation. Our partnership gives us the welcome opportunity to support the fine work of the folks involved at the association. The International Coach Federation, also known as the ICF, is the leading global organization dedicated to advancing the coaching profession by setting high standards, providing independent certification, and building a worldwide network of trained coaching professionals, like us.
Yeah, it's actually also the world's largest organization of professionally trained coaches. So joining ICF elicits instant credibility for its members.
Like us.
Yeah, it also is committed to connecting professional coaches with the tools and the resources that they need to succeed. And it really actually keeps you up to date on the latest news, and, really just hopping online and getting on coachfederation.org will offer you that option. And you can also follow them on Twitter at ICFHQ.
That always gets you, that at.
Yeah.
at
that's- yeah, it's very
ICFHQ.
amusing.
So that's the Twitter handle.
Yep.
Or you can go to coachfederation.org.
.org.
We're also delighted to have an ICF representative on our show each and every month. And we learn a lot about what's happening in coaching and what's available. Also, just check out that website because it is huge treasure trove of information.
Plethora.
That's French. No, it's not. Okay. I also want to shout out to our longtime sponsor of this program, Accomplishment Coaching. Look, if you, like me, are looking for the world's finest coach training program, you don't want to mess around. You don't want to do 7 different programs, but you want the program, one program, not 100, not 17 modules, one program that's going to take you from zero to an extraordinary powerhouse coach, working with whomever you want to work with. Check out Accomplishment Coaching. When I went to look for training, I was like, where's the Harvard? Where's the Oxford? Where's the Stanford of coaching? Couldn't find it. This is the place, Accomplishment Coaching. You can check them out at accomplishmentcoaching.com. Here's where, first of all, they do that thing that I love, that I tell you about every time, where they allow people to come in and observe the coach training process. So it's not like a black box anymore. It's not a mystery. It's not like, well, pay your money and find out what we talk about. No, you can go and you can sit in and watch the thing and decide if it's for you or not, or if you like what they're up to or not. Accomplishmentcoaching.com. Let's see if we can name all the cities where they have the coaches
That's a
training
tough one.
program. All right, ready? San Diego. Seattle, Washington. Victoria, BC in Canada.
That's so exciting.
Nice. Chicago, Illinois. New York City. And our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. How much does Washington, D.C. need coaching right now?
Just a bit.
A little leadership would be great. All right. Have we said everything? Is there
Yep.
anything you want to announce? Anything you're here to
I'm just
tell
really excited to get this guest on the.
Okay,
Please
well, let's
choose-
do it. Let's
oh
do
my
it.
goodness.
Tell us all about Karyn.
Karyn is an international speaker. She's a successful author and neurohumorist.
Is that a thing?
I can't wait to hear all about it.
Neurohumorist. Okay.
A pioneer in her field, Karyn shows leaders and sales professionals how
Improv?
to improve resilience. I can't actually read. To build influence and
Improv.
boost engagement. From the Mayo Clinic to the $1 Million Roundtable, companies hire Karyn to educate, inspire, and entertain their audience again and again. If writing burned calories, Karyn would be size 2. She's written for numerous peer-reviewed journals, and she's the author of 8 books. The
All right,
media loves her.
Let's get to it because she's extraordinary. You can find her on the web at KarynBuxman.com. That's KarynBuxman.com. Let's go. Hi, Karyn.
Guys,
That's us.
you there?
Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
All right, Karyn Buxman. Look around outside. Where do you find yourself today?
I find myself in beautiful downtown San Diego.
Oh, you should be here. Drive over here and let's talk in person. All right. Well, welcome. Yes, America's finest city, or used to be America's finest city. We're not sure. Tell us what is a neurohumorist.
I love
and
it.
isn't that wonderful?
Uh-huh.
It's just I am self-proclaimed, and I am a neurohumorist because for the last 25 years I have devoted my life's work living at the intersection of humor and the brain. I love making people laugh, and I love studying the brain, but most of all, I love sharing with people like yourself and your listeners the amazing, powerful benefits that humor has, both in your professional and your personal life. It's stunning. I started my work back in my master's program during graduate school, and I was researching the effect of humor on health and communication, and was just blown away by my findings. That was back in the late 80s, and there was not being much done on it at the time. People had heard of Norman Cousins, and they knew something about this guy who cured himself from something called ankylosing spondylitis by watching candid camera films, and you know, he was really the person who kind of brought in the field of psychoneuroimmunology, which is spelled just like it sounds.
Psychoneuroimmunology. I got that.
Psychoneuroimmunology.
I could totally ace that on the B. Okay, so it's a thing. You're actually suggesting that, first thing, let's go back a step because, you know, I'm a slow learner. the intersection of humor and the brain. So we all know that there's a huge explosion in brain science over the last 10 years. What are we learning? How is humor in the brain? Is what I find funny, what other people find funny, and how come I enjoy those horrible teen comedies where somebody always is like naked in an inappropriate way?
Oh, my gosh. There are so many wonderful things about the brain, and one of the things that we know now because of the technology that we have is that humor is a whole brain activity. It engages the prefrontal cortex, which is processing the cognitive portion of humor, which is wit. It engages the limbic system, which is the emotional component, or mirth. It engages the occipital lobe, which generates laughter. So it's a whole brain activity. And then one of the most exciting things has come about just in the last couple of years, again, because of our technology being digital now rather than analog. But one of my good friends and colleagues who's the leading psychoneuroimmunologist in the world who studies humor, did a study recently up at Loma Linda, and they discovered that during people who were experiencing humor, that they had that their brain, humor was generating gamma waves across their entire brain. And the kinds of patterns that we're seeing, these are the equivalent of people who experience deep meditation or deep mindfulness. And so this, the benefits of this are like being more focused, being in the zone, being more creative. And so those are some of just, a few of the benefits on that side. Then, of course, the neurotransmitters affect other parts of the brain. They release oxytocin, which becomes dopamine, which is the feel-good. And then all of the physiological responses, the decrease in cortisol, which, of course, is kind of the really bad juju in the body that we know these days, and all of the wonderful good things that it can do in terms of the musculoskeletal system, the immune system, the sympathetic nervous system. And so,
wait, I can get in better shape with this? Hold on, now you've got my attention.
So there's so many wonderful things that we are understanding now, and the more we understand, the more we realize that all of this just, it occurs first in the brain, and then it trickles down at lightning speed, but it trickles to all of the other parts of the body. And one of the things that we recognize now is that, for instance, in terms of resilience, all of the negative effects of stress that we experience, whether it's physiologically, psychologically, socially, humor has been shown to offset these negative effects. And so we have such a powerful tool at our fingertips. And one of the issues I see is that everybody knows the humor is good for them, but they're not tapping into the power that's in at their very fingertips. They're taking it for granted. And they could harness this skill, which would set them apart from their competition if they learned how to master this. Because most people use humor by chance, and humor by chance is a wonderful thing, but it's entertainment. Humor by choice, on the other hand, this can be a tool or a weapon.
Yes. Now, that's the thing I want to talk about, because I definitely want to get back to the psychoneuroimmunology, but I definitely, we've all been, and I've been guilty of this probably today, probably with you right here on this show. We've all been guilty of using humor as a weapon. I'm certainly, it's easier for me to say funny things about things and people that I'm angry at, like our president, than it is to plead my case where somebody may then make fun of me. So let's talk about sort of the dark side of humor. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Ooh, I love the dark side of humor. My background was nursing, and so it doesn't get much darker than that.
Right? And you guys,
we just talk body fluids, death, and dismemberment.
That's right. And you guys actually do that to get through the day, right? How do you deal with all that tragedy and pain without making fun, right? Right.
Well, and here's something that may be enlightening for a few, and that is that as children, most of our humor and laughter comes from joy and delight. Right. But by the time we get to be adults, most of our humor is more of a relief. And so the majority of our humor comes from pain and discomfort, whether it's ours or somebody else's. And so the closer you are to tragedy or death, the darker your humor becomes. And, right now there's a lot of folks who see what's going on in the country as a tragedy, or at least something that feels like it's out of their control, or something that's negative. And so we often then use humor that is darker. So it is a way to regain control. It's a way to relieve anxiety, to relieve stress. And so I encourage people to use dark humor. I love dark humor. That being said, there are some guidelines, and I would love to share those with you.
We're ready.
Oh.
Awesome. And if you want to avoid landmines, I have found over my 25 years of doing this work that when somebody steps in it, or when something blows up, because people will say, "Oh, I can't use humor because it didn't work for me."
Yeah.
There's one of four things that's going on, and I use the acronym BEST, Best Practices in Humor. So B is bond, and this one is the biggest one because we think our relationship and rapport with people is different than what it really is. As people who are listening here in terms of coaches, they're aware that the most common mistake that we make is that you're like me or you're more like me than what you really are. We assume that. And so we assume that they're going to find funny what we find funny. And this is not always the case. So you really need to understand if it's somebody that you have known or worked with for years and years and years, and you say something that's offensive to them, they'll get over it. But if it's a new client or a customer or somebody that you've just met in a coffee shop and you put your foot in it, you're going to destroy that relationship.
Yeah.
So think about bond and your relationship and rapport. E is environment. And that's anyone who can see, hear, or experience your humor, whether they were the intended audience or not. And this comes into play sometimes not only in the work setting, maybe somebody overhears you or you posted something in the break room that was funny to the people in the office, but then somebody who was a visitor got lost, stumbled in and saw it, and it was inappropriate.
Yep.
Now what we're seeing, though, that's a real problem is social media. I talked with one young woman who was devastated. She was in Chicago, and she had posted some dark humor on her Facebook page. Now, she was aware that the people who were connected to her on Facebook were inner circle. So she got that part right. Those folks were okay. What she didn't anticipate was that one of those folks would then forward it to their page.
To everybody, right, yeah.
And on their page, and of course it still says her name, and on this other person's page, her boss was connected. And when the boss saw it, they said, this is not in alignment with our company philosophy. Boom, you're gone. So make sure that you are okay with your humor. That it's like if somebody else sees it, I'm okay with it. It's your decision. I'm not saying you can't do it, but be aware of the consequences. So bond, environment, safety. Are we okay?
Yeah, you're fine. Safety,
okay.
I'm with
so
you.
Safety
Sometimes I like to make noises. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. Pull my finger. Fine noise. So safety is, can anyone be hurt either physically or emotionally? Because, there's all sorts of different kinds of office pranks and practical jokes, and I love practical jokes. Can somebody get hurt? If so, rethink that one. But the other one that I've been brought in to talk about more and more and more into companies is bullying. Because you can bully somebody with humor, and here's a clue. When somebody, zaps you with some kind of humor, usually sarcasm, and then they say, "Oh, what's wrong? Can't you take a joke?" That's usually an indication that they know that they're bullying, and so they're purposely using humor as a weapon to belittle. And so you want to steer away from that. So bond, environment, safety, and the last is timing. Because, as I just mentioned a minute ago, most of our adult humor comes from pain.
Right.
When do we find it funny? When we can emotionally detach. Now, some of us can do that right away. You just found that your zipper was in the down position after you gave this wonderful presentation, and you're like, there you go. Well, at least I was wearing clean underwear. But for some, it might take hours, it might take days, it might take weeks, or if it's too traumatic, they may never see the humor in the situation. But if you take into account those four things, bond, environment, safety, timing, I guarantee you 99% of your humor will be bulletproof. Nice. The other 1% we can't control because, as you both know, there's always people who bring their own agenda. And you could be so careful, and you could try so hard not to offend them, and it won't matter.
Let's
because
talk.
They're going to find a way to twist and turn it and make it something that it wasn't.
Yeah. Let's talk about recovery. I think we've all had the joke that went wrong or that was taken poorly, right? I think I've told this story on here before, but one of my famous ones was at one point I ran hospitals and healthcare systems, and so I was a big meeting with these vendors, right, who were trying to sell me stuff, so I was already feeling very full of myself. And beautiful woman comes in from their side. I hadn't met her before, and we're talking, and I'm sort of, I was single, and I was sort of trying to strike up a little, rapport. And I said, "Oh, that's a beautiful ring you're wearing." It was not a wedding ring that I could tell, a big ruby or something. And I said, "What'd you have to do? Kill a guy to get that?" Or and I think that's hilarious, right? I think we're enjoying some nice banter. And she looked at me and said, "Well, sorta." And I said, "What?" She said, "Sorta." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "My husband gave it to me right before he died." Oh, right? Yeah. I am just like under the table. I'm smallest thing that you have ever seen. I'm looking to, where's my time machine, right? What about recovery from something like that? Do you have any tips for people who have made the wrong joke or, where it didn't go well?
I absolutely do. Oh, my gosh. And bless you for bringing this up. I teach my clients a process called planned spontaneity. And what that is just for these kinds of occasions, you have some savor lines in your back pocket. Now, first of all, you have to decide whether or not, is the most appropriate response in this case humor. But, that's a call, and I would say most of the time, yes. But having things in your pocket, the one that came to mind because I was riffing through a bunch as you were going through those, and it was like, would this one work? Would this one work? Would this one work? Nice. There's, savor lines like, oh, some of these I do just for me, or that's the last time I buy a joke from Clarice. Nice. But the one that that came to mind was one that I would borrow from a politician. This was a case when it was a president. Well, it was Bush Senior. And this was when he was vice president, vice president, and he was campaigning for office of the president. And he was going around and he was talking at expensive dinners where everybody was paying a gazillion bucks to be able to attend. And he gets up in front of the group and he's talking about his relationship with the president. And he says to the group, "We've had triumphs, we've had tragedies, we've had sex." Now, he meant to say setbacks. And after the roar of laughter died down, planned spontaneity, he pulls the line out of his pocket and says, "I feel like the javelin thrower who just won the toss and elected to receive." Nice. That's the one that I would have pulled out when she came up with that response. Yeah. And it's just, so, people will say, "Oh, but I'm not that funny, and I don't have, I don't know how to come up with funny lines." Borrow them. I borrowed that line when I got up and made a huge faux pas in front of an audience, and I turned, instead of saying "suck the fun," I got my consonants reversed. It was like, okay, let's, I feel like the javelin thrower who just won the toss. Nice. So borrow from comedians, borrow from politicians. They're both very witty, but they both also have amazing writers. And then as you hear other kinds of responses, borrow them and start making them your own.
Let's talk. I appreciate what you're saying, and I want to move quickly because our time is flying by. I know that you've got a mission to heal the world through laughter. Tell us more about that.
Yeah. My work started out, on a smaller scale. I was teaching at a college, and then I started speaking to local groups and companies about my findings, and then national groups and companies. I now have the privilege of speaking around the planet, which is wonderful. Mm-hmm. And I also want to work at an even larger scale, which is why we're launching an online program in April, which is National Humor Month, by the way.
April?
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so yes. Definitely take that opportunity to practice humor. But again, because of the benefits on a physiological, psychological, social basis, I see that humor has the power not only to transform individuals, but I think it has the ability to transform the planet. Because if people were all using positive, constructive humor, it would be influencing relationships, it would be influencing rapport, it could do this at a global level. I'm speaking and presenting a TED Talk here in San Diego in April.
Hooray.
And the TED Talk is about how humor saved the world from the global level to the subcellular. Because we've had instances where humor has saved the planet already, like during the Cuban Missile Crisis, when we were deadlocked and the nuclear clock is ticking towards zero, and just when it looks like, okay, this group of grumpy delegates is going to put their finger on the button, one of the Soviet ambassadors cracked a joke.
Nice.
And he said, what's the difference between capitalism and communism? In capitalism, man exploits man. In communism, it's the other way around. The entire group laughed, tension broke, talks resumed, and as you can see, we didn't blow up the planet.
Great.
So I think that right now, more than ever, our world is in incredible need of this tool, and it's not the only tool that we have at our fingertips, but it's one that everybody's overlooking.
Indeed, we need to make sure that we get our plugs in for your book and some of the work that you're doing. So your book is Lead with Levity: Strategic Humor for Leaders. It's available on Amazon and Kindle. It's 30 lessons on humor, and then in April you've got a new online program. Tell us about that quickly.
Yes, this program is the first phase of this program is going to be about humor and resilience. And it's going to be a 5-week program on how people can use this, again, strategically to build their own resilience and then help share it with others so that they can build theirs. And so I think it would be a great tool for those who are listening. Indeed.
So that online program and the book, Lead with Levity, and everything else that you're up to are available at your website, which is Karyn, Karyn, Buxman, Buxman.com. Karyn, thank you so much for being with us. You're also very generous. You've got a free ebook of quotations. Pick a number between 1 and 10.
7, lucky 7.
Great. So our 7th email at producer@thecoachingshow.com. We'll get that. Karyn Buxman, thank you so much for being with us, and thanks for your work in the world as a neurohumorist. We'll be
Looking forward to sharing.
Thanks. We'll be right back with more of The Coaching Show. Stay with us.
Hi, Mary. Our growth has me looking for new furniture, but I can't find the right vendor. Can you help?
For sure.
Do you know a company that will give me a great value?
For sure.
Do you know a company that provides great selection?
For sure.
Do you know a company that is professional and responsive?
For sure, it's Shore. Shore Office Warehouse has been providing great value, service, and selection for over 40 years. It's Shore, for sure. ShoreOfficeWarehouse.com.
Hi, this is Rob Barnett, CEO and founder of VinVillage.com and the Wine and Dine Show on Vin Village Radio. Do you have a wine, event, product, or service to promote? Then contact VinVillage.com to reach thousands of wine lovers across the country. VinVillage connects like-minded wine enthusiasts with unique and exclusive wines, events, products, and services. To learn more, contact us on VinVillage.com. VinVillage is where wine lovers connect.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the Coaches Training Program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.
Gotham Books presents Marriage Rules by Harriet Lerner. The book Martha Beck calls required reading for anyone hoping to interact successfully with any other human, not just for those in romantic relationships. Get your copy wherever books and ebooks are sold, and visit harrietlerner.com to learn how to change your marriage today.
Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
Accomplishment Coaching is proud to present the following fine programming. Accomplishment Coaching, where coaches lead and leaders coach. AccomplishmentCoaching.com.
Welcome back to The Coaching Show with your host, Master Certified Coach Christopher McCullough.
Now, my producer would tell you any day of the week that it is hard for me to remember anything. But our next guest is memorable for me and for you. You will not forget soon the conversation we're about to have.
I'm so excited.
Right. That's a voice, by the way, of our special in-studio guest co-host, Clarice Connolly. You can find her at heartandsoul.coach. But our next guest is a master certified coach, and I knew him when he was just a coach. He's an extraordinary man, a hilarious guy, and a leader in the world of coaching. He's got a great ebook that you need. It's 20 lessons to develop and grow masterful coaching. And he delivers it in a perfect way where every 5 days you get like another piece, 20 different pieces every 5 days. He's the author of Masterful Is, As Masterful Does, workbook series. He's the past president of the ICF Chicago chapter, co-founder of the Midwest Regional Advisory Council, and past co-producer of the Midwestern Coaching Conference, something that we should have all have been to or want to. And we're delighted to welcome back to our microphones, Ben Dooley. Dooley.
Hey, thank you. Oh, it's been a while since I've been on it. I so appreciate the, I love that I'm fairly memorable.
Indeed.
So, hopefully I'll be able to fulfill that expectation.
Yeah, dance, coach. Let's see something.
Yes, I know. I'll be your monkey today.
Let's let people know, first of all, how they can find out more about Ben Dooley. What's the website to use?
Sure, the website is bedo.org. That's B-E-D-O, as in being and doing. And it's, Bedo.
I like the B first. Yeah, nice. Okay.
Well, it's interesting because I discovered it in my first week of training, and I was playing around with web names, and I just picked the first two letters of my first name, Ben, and the last name, Dooley. And I was just playing with it, and it was just cute and clever. And the more I've worked with it, the more it is just so everything that we do. And we so much focus on the doing part that we forget that there's a whole being. And the other trap that we fall into is that we often confuse that being and doing are actually like opposites or exclusive of each other. They are constantly intertwined. We are always doing something, even if we're sitting there staring at the wall, and we're always being something. Mm-hmm. So that's to do, and then we're always being something. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think that your point is that the doing is always, what would you say, advised by or originated in the being.
It really is. One of the things that I often will underline in the class that I teach, which I'll mention a little bit later on, but it's not the action, it's the energy behind it. You know, we can say and do the same things, but the intention and the thought and the emotion and the belief and the energy that you're putting behind it creates a radically different experience. And we get hooked on the action. Well, should I do this? Shouldn't I do that? The action is actually very secondary. Where are you coming from? What's the intention? What's the desire? What's the motivation? What's the whole purpose of this?
Clarice.
I'm very, this is actually perfect for me. I'm someone who's quite the, I'm all about getting actions done, like doing. Mm-hmm. And there's this place where when I start to like get on a roll, I'm almost like unconscious. Like I'm so busy doing that I'm not even clear how I'm being. And so when you have someone such as myself, I'm very curious as to like what do you say from here? Like what do I do about this? How do I check my being when I'm just busy doing?
Well, first off, if my philosophy is if it works, do more of it. But part of what that is we can describe it as being in the zone. Or in the groove, or just, I've gotten into that magic place, or whatever it is, where we just find. It happens to me all the time. I'll just start doing something, and suddenly, like, time disappears, and there's flow, and there's energy, and all of this stuff, and inspiration. And really, part of that is that we've let go for the moment of all of these rules and all of these judgments and saboteurs and critics and gremlins and oh my and all that stuff, and we're just allowing ourselves to just access our full creativity and intelligence and purpose and our skills and our values and all of that stuff. It's a moment where we're able to actually come into contact with ourselves.
It's sounding, with all respect, I know you to be a hilarious guy. You actually worked as a clown, among other things. One of the things I remember most vividly from your bio. But but now you've been a coach for a long time. I remember when we were just young pups, but one of us at least is no longer that, me. And you are now a big MCC, co-founder, past president, and all this stuff.
Now I'm an old pup.
Right. The thing that I want to kind of get out of the mindset of it and get into, you have taken on contributing your experience, your brilliance, your abilities, and building the skill sets of coaches everywhere. You talk about masterful coaching, but you sort of spell it funny. Masterful, F-U-L-L coaching. What are we talking about?
Thank you. Not any, but rarely people catch that. Thank you.
People are becoming more and more illiterate. I don't know if you noticed. No offense.
Yes.
I'm a terrible speller. I own it.
Okay.
It's okay. The world is finally adjusting to me. My spelling is horrible. But this was intentional. And part of that is that my whole approach, the class that I teach, when I work with coaches, the books, everything is really helping us as coaches learn how to access our full selves and show up fully. And it's something that came from acting, it came from clowning, it came from so much of my own past pre-coaching experience, that we are most compelling, we are most attractive, we are at our most beautiful and powerful and sublime and delicious when we are just revealing our full selves. And that also includes, it's the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, when we actually are just really bringing our full selves to the game. So that's what the Masterful is about. It's not about doing anything right. It's about being you.
Let's talk more about the skill building. So there's
Bring it.
You're training people now to be coaches or to be more masterful, as you say, in coaching. Is this designed for people who are old pups like us or young pups like Clarice? Who should pay attention to it?
I'll take pups and kitties of all ranges. Part of this is, in the work that I've done, it certainly is great for new coaches who are still trying to figure this out. There are tons of schools out there that teach really solid coaching models.
Right.
Accomplishment being one of them. Tons of other schools out there.
Oh my goodness!
Well, hey, you guys haven't lasted this long by tossing out crap. Accomplishment is a solid system.
Yes.
Yeah, and your job, not yours, but Accomplishment's job, as well as all these other trainings, is to teach people how to coach.
Right.
But what really makes the difference, and Christopher, I'm sure you can back this up, what really makes the difference is how we use these tools that are given to us. And it's one thing for someone to just say, here's a hammer, go and build something. And here's a hammer, and here's how to hold it properly. Here's how to hit. Here's how to do this. Here's how to use it this way. And suddenly we become much more articulate and skilled. So newer coaches really love this because it adds depth and layer to the skills that they're learning. Whereas intermediate coaches this is when intermediate coaches learn how to fully infuse their full selves into their work. All their personal skills, all their own natural style, their entire history of experience is valid and vital information that informs our coaching. And that's what makes us unique and powerful and amazing. And then awesome old dog masterful coaches like yourself, this is such a wonderful Hey, I'll suck up where I can. But then, what I found is even those skilled coaches, it shines a light to remember oh yeah, this is who I am and what I do. Because what I've found also, seasoned coaches, we tend to do a lot of the same coaching again and again and again. We become awesome experts at what we do, but we start to forget our range and palette.
Nice. I love that.
And what we have access to, yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but give us like a tip or something. Like if you could, I know that you've heard, like I have, a lot of mediocre coaching in your life, right? We've all, as we've trained and contributed to other coaches, a lot of how we do that is by listening to them coach and going, oh, oh, honey, right? If you could wave your magic wand and give coaches everywhere, like is there one common issue or addition that you would have us take on to increase or improve our effectiveness as coaches?
Wow, one. That's a great question.
No pressure, right?
Yeah, really.
For coaches everywhere.
Well, part of actually, I'll answer the question where I thought you were going and where I wish you had gone, and then I'll see if I can answer this.
That's very political of you.
What I notice is when we hear that type of coaching. And by the way, that's not just new coaches. I've done some stinkeroos in my time too. We all fall into that trap, and most often there's two different reasons why our coaching does not work. One is that we just are new to the skill. We're kind of not competent or familiar enough, and we don't quite know our tool set that well. So that's when you have newer coaches. They're trying something new, and it's not working, and it's all clunky. And then you've got coaches who actually know this stuff, but the coaching gets sour or it gets stopped because we've lost connection for some reason. We've lost connection with the client. We've lost connection with ourselves. We've lost connection with the relationship, with the connection with the purpose. There's connection been broken somewhere. And what typically happens is we provide, as mentors to coaches, we provide cosmetic solutions. And we identify like, oh, you got in your own way. Oh, you need to get better at powerful questions. You need to listen more. And that's actually prescription, as opposed to looking at what's underneath that. Isn't that what we do with our clients?
Beautiful.
I mean, we do that with our clients. We don't give them prescriptions, go and do this more. We dig under to find out what's getting in the way and what's blocking and what's creating a disconnect in their purpose, their focus, their values, their strengths, their direction, their commitment, all of that stuff. And so we need to guide our coaches that way too. I do not claim that I am the only one. I know there are others out there that do that. But I also come across a lot of the prescriptive guiding. And that's wonderful for that instance, but what it doesn't do is it doesn't provide that foundation for the coach to really trust themselves. So backing up to answer your question, where I would point coaches to is to really learn to explore more about what is getting in the way and what their defaults are, what their experience is, and what I refer to as the performance of coaching. There's something that gets triggered about doing it right or making sure I don't, and we have our own coach's agenda that comes in the way.
That's a great memory.
Little long answer for a short question.
Go ahead. No, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And
it actually points to, as we got a couple minutes left in this segment, it points to actually one of the things that I created for the class is an open dialogue about, well, let's identify, rather than what do masterful coaches do, a masterful coach asks brilliant questions. Or powerful questions. Yeah, all coaches do that. Well, a master coach is really, really curious. No, all coaches are curious. You don't just get more curious when you get better. As a masterful coach now, as an MCC, I really listen. No, we all really listen. Sometimes we do and sometimes we don't. So what makes the difference? And we know that there's also this phrase that's out there that's really popular, that it takes 10,000 hours to become a master at something, right?
Yeah.
never heard
Apparently,
Right.
I'm the only one that's heard.
No,
this.
it's
Yeah.
Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell, and it's based
Yeah.
on some work done in Sweden, I think. Anyway, yes, we're with you.
Right. And actually, even Malcolm gets all the credit, and even he himself said, "Yeah, I didn't invent
Right.
that. I got it from somebody
He
else."
got it right. And
Which-
none of
which
us
I
can
totally
remember
did.
that guy's name, right? Okay, keep going.
Right,
Sorry.
that other guy, the Swedish guy. So if you're the Swedish guy who has invented this phrase, please call up the coaching show and tell Christopher.
That's right. He also, by the way, as long as we're going to belabor this point, he also said, the guy that did the original research said, no, I didn't say that if you did 10,000 hours of anything, you would become a master at it. He said at least 10,000 hours of something is required for mastery, but often, skill and development and talent and some other things enter into it. Anyway, now that
Right.
we've beaten that dead horse,
Well,
please go on with your point.
But I love it because, thank you, because now that just destroyed my entire argument. Thank you very much.
Man, and we're done.
Not at all, not at all. Because I looked at the math, and because we have these wonderful bullet phrases, we fall into an assumption, all I have to do. And you're absolutely right, there's so much more than that. But I also did the math, because I get a little bit of a numbers geek here, and so I figured it out. If every single coach here listening to this program, if you started your practice from day one of your coach training with 20 clients, all exactly 1 hour long, none of this 45-minute business, so I have a little buffer time, dovetailing 20 clients every week for an hour,
Yes.
which breaks out to, 4 clients a day. Okay, 20 clients every week consistently. It would take 10 years to accumulate 10,000 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's, 52 weeks a year. We take 2 weeks off for vacation. Let's be nice. Now, I don't know about you. I sure didn't start with 20 clients and maintaining and continuing with 20 clients consistently, let alone doing it every single week for an hour.
Right.
A little bit of a challenge, which means that really most of us are on a journey that will take 15 to 20 years or even more. And where I sit is that the world cannot wait for us to figure it out. The world doesn't have the leisure to have us take 20 years
That's right.
to step into our mastery. The world needs each and every one of us to show up fully at whatever level we are at now.
Yes.
That's what we get to look at.
We need Clarice. We need her generation because we're tired.
That
Yeah, that's right.
that's literally what I'm taking away from this is that it's really, the synopsis of what I'm getting from what you're saying is really the masterful coaching is essentially, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is my interpretation.
We all would, yeah.
Is
Go ahead.
digging, essentially just digging to not asking that surface level question, but really getting to the underneath, what's running the narration or what's in the way, so that you can kind of, or the client or you as a coach can uncover your authentic self and really learning what it is to identify who you are underneath the stories and the pre-programming and trust that. And so the piece that I like that really resonates with me is even as coaches is learning through your clientele or who you're coaching and bringing that to your coach so you can kind of understand and continue to grow your style and grow as a coach and even learn more about yourself. So it's it's almost like, the saying, transformation is a way of life.
Yeah.
There's never a time to stop learning.
That's a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a big part of it, and there's actually quite a bit more. And what I found myself when I realized that it's not about the hours, it's about what is discovered in the hours, in those 10,000 hours. What is it at the end of that 20-year journey would I look back and go, this is now what I know.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how I, as a master coach, show up differently than when I began 20 years ago. And that's the conversation that really began to excite me. And what you've shared is a part of that, is the more I know of myself and who I am as a coach, as well as a man, as well as a human, that provides, because one of the things that I also teach in the class is we are born with natural benefits and detriments to our coaching. And if we have a greater awareness of that, of where our defaults are, not just my own fears, my own, self-imposed crap, but the stuff that I'm just born with. And if I'm aware of that, now I can leverage that not only to my client's advantage, but also to my own advantage.
Nice.
And that's the whole separate other conversation.
Yeah, I want to.
How much?
Go ahead. I want to interrupt and let people know about some of the ways they can work with you, because I think a lot of us are getting very excited about different aspects of what you're saying, and I'm going to jump right in too. But first, let's let people know you are an MCC coach. You facilitate a biweekly coaching skills forum, telecalls, and
these are awesome.
And people can find out about that by going to bedo.org. Is that right?
Yeah.
BEDO.
Yeah. Also, it's got its own separate website, coachingskillsforum.com.
You're a genius at naming stuff. Coaching Skills Forum is available at coachingskillsforum.com. Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
You wanted to say something else about that?
And just that these are amazing conversations. They're absolutely free for all coaches, and we explore a single area component of our coaching in deep, provocative conversation.
Dude.
I've been doing these calls now for 11 years, and they just keep getting better. And what I find is awesome is that I make it my business to know everything I can about our coaching and how it works and why it works and all of that and all the levels and nuances. And I still get on these calls and go, holy smokes, did not even realize that before.
Ben Dooley, how is it that I didn't know about this? I have to be on those calls. I must.
You got it, dude. You got to get on these calls. Plus, on the website, there's over 240 archived recordings of our past calls that anybody can access and listen to. Please go, enjoy. There are CCU credits for ICF credentialing.
Yeah.
There's a small fee for that. But the calls and the content and the learning and growing is free for anybody. Please.
Okay, and then there's the thing that we talked about at the top of the segment about Masterful, that's 2 L's, is as Masterful, 2 L's, does. And that's a workbook series.
I know.
And this is this the 100-day challenge, or is that a different thing?
The 100-day challenge was actually something that it was an offspring of the class that I teach, the Fast Path to Masterful Coaching. And what happens is that every time I have a class, we dig into more stuff, we discover more. There's a whole curriculum and timeline, but yet we're digging in and finding more layers and nuances, and so I just don't have enough time to put it into the class. So I ended up creating do-it-yourself at your own pace additional lessons that follow the same basic timeline, but focus on different aspects of the things that we learn in the big class. But each one is a very powerful lesson unto themselves. And so it's like, okay, great. It's an ebook. You can do it all at once, or you sign up, and then every 5 days a new lesson gets popped in your email box. You read it. It's a workbook type thing, so you can go through and fill out stuff and really just watch things shift and open. And it's done. It's written very conversationally, so that I am also the voice of the reader, asking the questions that don't make sense, asking for clarity, throwing out examples, so that it's walking you through this as though you were part of a class.
Beautiful. And I want to, we're running out of time, so I want to do two things. First of all, pick a number between 1 and 10.
14.
Nice. Okay, we'll go with 14. So the 14th person to email producer@thecoachingshow.com, that's producer@thecoachingshow.com, will get a free 100-day e-challenge, 20 powerful lessons to develop and grow masterful coaching, delivered in your email every 5 days from Ben Dooley. And Ben, I'm going to give you the last minute or so of our time together. This is a parting shot, a parting thought. If you could say something to 20 or 30,000 coaches, what would you have us know?
Oh, we're done?
It flies, man.
Oh, wow. Holy smokes. I was so like, oh, there's part 2 coming up.
I'm so sorry.
And apparently we just shot through it all.
Yeah, we will have you back, I promise. So
I would love to be back. Part of this is also the masterful coach has deep confidence. So there's deep connection, but also deep confidence. Confidence in yourself, confidence in the client, confidence in the relationship. And confidence comes from the same root word, fide, which also means trust. And so when we have that deep, full trust, that's when we are willing to step out of our comfort zone. That's when we're willing to be bold and vulnerable and fearless and grounded. And then we're able to take the risk, because actually when you have full trust, there is no risk.
Beautiful.
There's no risk. And therefore, we are able to fully be what the client needs. And that's what we're all here to be.
And well-timed. That is Ben Dooley. He's an MCC coach. You can find out more by going to coachingskillsforum.com, or to find out all about Ben, go to bedo, that's bedo.org. Ben, thank you for the work that you do. And Clarice, thank you for being with us, heartandsoul.coach. We will talk to you next week.
Your search for the right office furniture will be done when you walk into Shore for sure. In our 46,000 square foot warehouse, you are sure to find the right new or used desk and chair for your home and office. Trusted for over 40 years, Shore is proven to